So we just saw the video. So I'm gonna walk you through a few steps in the video again, just to reiterate why PACE works, why we find it's attractive to building owners. Some of these slides are geared for commercial PACE. I think the story works just as well with residential. Show you a couple of examples. Show you what the market looks like, how it's built out. Talk a little bit about residential PACE and what's happening around the U.S. Give you some of the stats that we collect, the data that we collect on commercial, so you can get a sense of its build out, its applicability, sort of where we're at nationwide, which has an impact on things here in New Jersey. And let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we face. There are three of us, we all know a lot about PACE, so I don't want to have too much overlap. I think Bert and Andy will then talk about some specific examples and financing. Well, you know, when we're all done, you'll have a lot of information, a lot of room for questions. So just to kind of reiterate, what do you need to do to make a PACE project happen? Well, you have to have a building owner that wants to do something, energy efficiency or renewable energy, or in some places, water conservation. You gotta have a contractor, because they're the people that are gonna do the work. So they're the two key players, and they're both in the private sector, by the way. You need to have somebody to provide 100% funding that we talked about, and that's 100% of hard and soft costs. So that's pretty unusual in the project world, where a funder will provide all of the funding. All of those parties in the private sector, you have to have a PACE program that's got the link to local government. So to me, PACE is this sort of perfect public-private partnership. We hear that expression a lot, but here really almost everything is happening in the private sector. The public sector is just using its ability to place the repayment of this project on the property tax roll. So that's why I say local government's there to service the project. The building owner makes its annual assessment payment, the repayment of the money that has been given to do the project, to the local government. In this case, I'm saying the PACE program, which may be administered by, again, another private party. And that payment is then remitted to that gal there who provided 100% funding. So it's an old concept. It's local governments have been using assessments, some people say, since Ben Franklin set one up in Philadelphia a couple thousand years ago. And we see improvement districts all over the country for these types of things. PACE is just a more recent adaptation of this tried and true method of financing projects that benefit property owners, basically, but that meet a public purpose. And here the public purpose, energy efficiency. So you can use it on almost any building, and I'll show you some of the data that supports that. And you can use it for almost any project that produces energy or results in less grid supplied energy or fossil fuel supplied energy being used. And again, what's attractive about PACE? Well, particularly for commercial property owners, long-term payback. You own a commercial property, if you're not taking money out of your pocket, you can't get funding for much beyond 3, 5, 7 years to the outside. There are no commercial mortgages that go beyond 10 years. So 20-year financing means that you can do a lot more extensive energy efficiency projects. A lot of property owners, and we talk to very big, sophisticated companies, I won't name because I don't want to embarrass them. And they'll say, well, yeah, we're doing all sorts of energy efficiency. Well, they're doing things that have a 3-year payback. They're doing lighting. That's a really quick payback. But if it's a 6, 7, 8-year payback, they're not doing it. Because they say, look, I'm not going to go out of pocket, even if it has an adequate return. You know, something with a 10-year return is roughly a 10% return, but they're just not doing them. So with PACE financing, paid back over 20 years, projects become immediately cash flow positive. In the commercial property world, that means lower operating costs means higher net income for a building, and that means building value increases. The transfer on sale, just like other property taxes and assessments, you're not paying You don't have to pay off a PACE assessment when you sell the building. It stays with the building. The new owner benefits from the projects that you've done in the form of lower energy costs. And PACE as a property tax assessment may be more easily shared with tenants. And I'm not going to, I took 2 or 3 slides out that went into a fair amount of detail about how PACE works with a number of different lease structures for tenants, and that I've learned a lot. One of my senior fellows, George Carragher, is based in Indianapolis because for 15 years he was the senior vice president for sustainability at Simon Property Group, the largest mall owner in the world, an enormous square footage real estate investment trust. George is really an expert on all this stuff. I mentioned him, and his contact info will be on the last slide in case any of you want more information on that. So just some quick examples. Here's one from Simon. There's George and a little quote. This is a property outside of Cleveland, Ohio. Simon just closed 3 PACE financings in California within the last month, totaling $5 million, and are working on their 4th. We work with them pretty closely. They're all in on PACE. Prologis, another enormous real estate investment trust that owns warehouse facilities, use PACE on their headquarters building in San Francisco, solar and energy efficiency. And here's one from Connecticut. So I'm going to gloss over that because Bert stole this from Jessica, because Bert will give you some examples of things that are happening in Connecticut. At the very end, I'm going to talk about an initiative that we're launching this summer called PACE Nation, to knit this community better together. And I want to sort of describe PACE Nation. Here's PACE in 2007, or here's the United States of America in 2007. And here's what that map looks like today. So the dates are ones in which states passed PACE-enabling legislation. This typically starts with a law allowing it, and that's what you're working on here in New Jersey. A lot of activity now, which is pretty exciting. Kentucky and Virginia just passed, Virginia amended law that makes their PACE possibilities work a lot better. Kentucky's passed legislation for the first time this year. Unanimously in both houses, signed into law by the governor. PACE is utterly, completely nonpartisan. Everybody loves job creation. Everybody loves economic development. Everybody loves giving property owners an opportunity to improve and upgrade their buildings, make them more valuable, put cash in their pockets. Everybody likes the environment. And you don't feel like you're really talking that down. And so getting PACE bills passed has not been a problem. At Alabama, there's a bill sitting on the governor's desk right now, so I'm hoping that 2016 will be 15. And we're working in Tennessee and South Carolina, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, I hope this year. So residential, big story. PACE started, as I said, in Bedford. Residential was the thing. And it ran into some roadblocks with the Federal Housing Finance Agency, which is a federal regulator, independent regulator set up by Congress that regulates Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and also acts as their conservator. And they took the position that because a PACE assessment, like all property taxes and assessment, any unpaid portion, the building goes into default and is sold, the proceeds from that sale go first to pay off unpaid property taxes and assessments, not future, but unpaid. That comes off the top. So if a home is underwater as a PACE assessment, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac stood to lose $1,000. And the FHFA said this was a safety and soundness concern for the mortgage industry. They don't like it. So it kind of put the kibosh on PACE residential program development, but in California they didn't get that message. And because of strong political leadership, the governor, state treasurer, the legislature, they love it. The Local government officials throughout California really want to promote energy and water efficiency. They love it. The state set up a $10 million reserve to ensure all mortgage lenders from any of those losses like the ones I described. And that led to this utter resurgence in PACE in California this year. The HERO, there was also a lot of persistence. They never really stopped offering PACE. The HERO program in Southern California to date securitized almost $500 million. So just going back to this, one state, basically 40,000 homes in the last couple of years. That's a drop in the bucket, but this year they're going to be over $1 billion, and that translates to a lot of jobs. So that's the story with residential, and we're optimistic that something's going to work out with Fannie, Freddie, the mortgage lenders. This is a tool that homeowners are finding is very, very valuable for them, and it's creating a lot of jobs and saving a lot of energy. Commercial, where we've spent most of our time working over the last several years, here's what the world looked like in 2010. And here's what it looks like today. So you get the idea that color on the map is good. These are commercial programs. Red dots are places where we represent programs that have completed projects. So there's a red dot in Connecticut where they've completed a lot of projects. And there's a red dot in Wisconsin, and there have been a couple that have been done there. So the dots aren't representative of the volume. But an unabated enthusiasm, more and more entrance into the marketplace, offering commercial PACE financing. Some summary stats on sort of what the build-out looks like. These numbers are going to, the line's going to gear up sharply by the end of the year because we're seeing a lot of volume. It's not even yet incorporated into this. We know from, one of the things PACEnow tries to do is collect data on every PACE project that gets completed. And so we don't have all the data because not everybody shares it with us, and we just don't have it all, but we have a lot. And so we can see from what we do have that PACE works for just about every kind of building, both in terms of the number of projects and the dollar amounts. It's got broad applicability, projects by size. The graphic on the left, a lot of projects less than $50,000, a handful, relative handful in terms of numbers above $500,000, but the trend is for bigger projects for lots of reasons that you could imagine. And a mix of energy efficiency and renewable energy, as you would suspect. I think solar is going to the red stuff is going to be a bigger fraction of the pie, or donut in this case. And then I just wanted to sort of close by, in terms of sort of characterizing the market, there are a lot of ways that PACE financing can be provided, and the most important thing for you to be thinking about is how you're going to access PACE financing here in New Jersey. So I don't want to go through a lot of examples about here's what they do here and here's what they do there. But there are different sort of levels of sophistication. You can do a PACE project in just about anywhere where a state law has enabled it. If you can get that local government to agree to act as, do whatever it needs to do to act as the servicer, then you come with a property owner, a contractor, and funding. The local government just facilitates your interest. That's what Simon has done. That's what they did with that project in Cleveland. To sort of the opposite end of the spectrum, Bert might talk a little bit about how they've approached PACE in Connecticut. I think it'd be great, Bert, if you covered, instead of me, the things that you think were important in making Connecticut so successful, like educating contractors and whatnot. Some of the challenges, I like to say this, volume is the answer to all of our problems. Right now, this marketplace is really still in its infancy, so the numbers are tiny relative to the potential, which is enormous. Tiny means everybody's figuring things out. So actually, the second check mark, getting down the learning curve is really important, and people are still getting down the learning curve. And things are complex. We need to sort of simplify in every way that we can. I think these are things that I see and hear around the country. It takes a long time at bottom chapter, I'm jumping around, it takes a long time for property owners, especially in commercial, to get to yes. So in residential, you want to make it really simple. You want that contractor to sit down with the property owner, get them approved right away, sign them up. Commercial, much more complicated. No way to really solve that problem, but property owners take a long time to get to yes or no on a project, because energy efficiency isn't something that's part of their core business thinking. So, you know, speeding things up, cooperation wherever possible in the worlds that I operate in now, which are government, nonprofit, and for-profit. Government people are all wonderful and transparent and cooperative all the time, all uniformly. Nonprofit people, now like me, we're all on the side of the angels. We want to help everybody, we love everybody. The for-profit people are really good in the world of PACE, altruistic and everything else. They're also a little bit more guarded about what they've got going on, a little bit more secretive. So one of the things we try to do is foster sort of a community, and that's really what our big initiative this summer is going to be, is PACE Nation, is creating this thing, PACE Nation. You'll all be able to join for free by going to our website and clicking and saying, I join. We want to develop real numbers around this community that represents this sort of public-private movement aspect to PACE. It changes people in some way. Bert's former director, program director, Jessica Bailey. I met Jessica when she was at the Rockefeller Brothers Fund. Within a year, she was running the Connecticut PACE program, and now she's gone out and started a company to promote and develop PACE projects and fund them. So something about PACE totally changed her life. She had a pretty great job at the Rockefeller Brothers Fund. I can promise you that. So we're going to be creating this thing, PACE Nation. It's going to be designed to sort of knit people together to try to get people working together. We're developing a national PACE conference for early next year, Q1 2016. And we're going to ask people to get everything they can from this community and from the things that we provide to it at PACEnow, and give back whatever they can to try to build a marketplace. So that's, I think, it. There's some contact info. You'll make these available.
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank
Fabulous.
you.
Let's give David a round. So, people in the back that have come in, can we keep the lights up for a bit while people get seated? Can you put the lights on until we start? Great. And people in the back, please take a seat if you don't want to be in video.